47 Minecraft-Monster-Fakten an. Okay? Yalla, wir gehen rein.
Did you know pillagers used to look like this? Or that it's possible?
Was, wie? Wir haben die... chill mal kurz.
Did you know pillagers
Digga, war einfach Pirat, was ist das denn?
used to look like this? Or that it's possible for an iron golem to turn evil? And today we're joined by block facts to see the 47 mob facts you possibly didn't know. And hey, the YouTube analytics magician told me that no one has ever subscribed to the channel.
Okay, Freunde, da hab ich Bock. Minecraft-Fakten.
With their left ring finger. And honestly, I don't know why anyone would, but if you're up to that challenge, place your Digitus Medicinalist on that red flesh. Piglins used to red sub button down below. It's free and it helps out a ton. Zombie piglins used to look like this.
Boah, wer kennt die noch? Wer kennt die noch?
Back when they were first announced, they'd exposed red flesh in their texture and they didn't hold any kind of weapon, which made them look a lot more like zombies than we're used to. But that version of the pigment
die sehen echt ein bisschen scheiße aus.
Never made it into the game, and they were changed to a green color before its release. Zombie pigmen weren't the only nether mob that got a makeover though. During development, blazes originally had no eyes, and they just float around.
Hä, echt? Die hatten einfach kein Auge? Als ob die einfach so rumfliegen.
But according to Jeb, this made it look more like a yellow
Ich schwöre, Jeb ist so ein King.
rock than a mob, so the eyes were added in to give it more personality.
Minecraft's ghasts look like ghosts, but they're actually cats. At least according to C418, one of the game's composers. In a Reddit AMA, they confirmed that the sounds for the ghast came from their pet cat, who made the
Was?
noises when it'd get disturbed while sleeping.
Baby chickens are
Der Gas-Sound ist von einer scheiß Katze? Verstehe ich nicht.
Really small, but they aren't coded like they are. See, even though these mobs are less than a half a block in size, they still won't walk through half-block tall spaces, meaning you don't have to worry about any of these mobs escaping through this slab, even if it doesn't make much sense. You know how a chicken can keep running with its head cut off? Well, the same does happen in Minecraft. Kind of. See, if you were to kill a chicken where it falls off a cliff, its corpse will fall slower than any other, and additionally, it'll still flap its wings after dying.
When they were first shown off, piglins would raise their arms like this to attack you when angry, making them look a lot more like zombie pigmen than the piglins we're used to. However, this seems to have been removed.
Ich finde, Piglins sehen so gefährlich aus, wenn die dir nachrennen, und das ist gut so.
Before any Nether update snapshots came out.
From afar, this might look confusing, but up close, you'll notice that this mess of white lines is actually an iron golem. See, when an iron golem cracks as its health goes down, those cracks show up when it's got the glowing effect, giving you even...
Oder? Hä, das ist doch nicht so. Wenn ein Eisengolem kaputt ist und du den mit dem Glowing-Pfeil abschießt, hat der so Löcher.
More of a reminder to toss in an iron ingot to heal it out. This wolf might be angry, but it'll never hurt me.
Test doch, nö.
And the reason is that when in peaceful mode, wolves cannot get aggressive. And in fact, the only mob capable of hurting you in peaceful mode is a llama that spits on you. Nothing else works. If you watch
Ein Lama, was sich anspuckt, macht aber kein Damage, oder? Also, es gibt dir nur einen Hit, aber es macht nicht kein halbes Herz oder so, oder?
closely, this squid's arms will start to move slower and slower. And why this happens is because, in Bedrock only, a squid's arms show how much oxygen it has left. So when 15 seconds pass and it's out of air in the tank, its arms will stop and it'll suffocate, which seems like a lot
Doch, es macht Damage, okay.
of effort to code for such a pointless mob.
You can never outrun this slime, and the reason is that a slime's size determines its movement speed. So a size 8 slime will always outpace a player if you're not using any potion effects.
The Phantom used to look like a
Ja, aber so groß kann der doch gar nicht werden, oder?
nether mob, but that's
Boah, Nether Phantoms wären actually geiler als diese in der Overwelt rumfliegenden Scheißviecher.
the problem. It was never meant to be. So because of this, Mojang switched its red texture to the darker purple colors that we see today.
This fox is too small for its own good,
Wow,
and
people
that becomes
happy.
immediately apparent when you put it in water. Sure, it's cute, but it's so small that even when it's swimming, it'll start drowning. And you can notice this when a baby fox tries to hunt a fish. It'll likely die before it gets to the food.
Back in the beta,
Sad shit.
Minecraft's Endermen used to look like this. They had green eyes instead of purple ones, and they emitted a kind of black smoke. Oh, and they also had the same sound effects that the zombie did, which is confusing to hear nowadays. But luckily, they weren't very strong back then, so it wasn't that big of a threat if you heard either one.
This is how we see the end, and this is how an Enderman sees the end. If you go into spectator mode and choose an Enderman like so, it applies a filter to invert all the colors we see, meaning they see the end as an island of blue stone on a sea of white, with them and the Ender Dragon also having green eyes. Oh, and to them, cobblestone looks like endstone does to us.
There is no limit to the amount of bats that can hang
It's like endstone.
Cobblestone sieht für Enderman aus wie Endstone für uns? Das ist ein krasser Fakt.
Does to us.
There is no limit to the amount of bats that can hang from a single block, which sounds
Was?
unimportant, but when you execute it like this, it becomes quickly noticeable. And it can make for a pretty serious prank to surprise your friends down in the caves. Though, since it's impossible to tie bats
Ja
to
gut, aber die kannst du nicht alle auf einem Platz setzen, damit die da bleiben, ne? Leider.
lead, I don't know how you'd get all of them together to do this without a spawn egg.
Mushrooms are a ripoff, or they were back in beta. See, back in the pre-release, if you right-clicked a mushroom with a stack of bowls, there was a bug that they'd all condensed down into only one bowl of mushroom stew.
Einfach 63 Schüsseln weg.
And if this wasn't changed, I'm not sure many of us would try to find these in a mushroom fields biome.
Do you remember when Minecraft was going to add a monkey? Or how about an alligator? Well,
Digga, stellt euch vor, Minecraft hätte einen Affen.
if you don't, it's probably because you don't live in China. See, with the release of the Chinese version of Minecraft, Mojang held a special mob vote just for that region. And as we know, the panda won in a landslide, and it now exists in the global release. Back in the
Als ob ein Affe... Warte, was? Es hätte ein Affe rein... Ein weißer Delfin hätte reingevotet werden können? Boah, stell dich mal vor, eins von den Mobs da unten wäre drin. Okay, der weiße Delfin wäre scheiße gewesen, weil es gibt ja schon Delfin. Das hätte irgendwie auch nicht gepasst. Der Affe wäre auch ultra random und das Krokodil wäre auch random. Ja, zum Glück wurde es der
that
Panda.
region. And as we know, the panda won in a landslide, and it now exists in the global release. Back in the day, it was possible to breed mushrooms and cows together, but ever since Snapshot 12W7A, this has been changed so that they only breed amongst themselves, which seems a little unfair, but since you can't shear a mushroom to change it back to a cow, I guess there's still a workaround if you need it.
Skeletons didn't always use bows. In fact, when they were first added, these skeletons would hold out their arms and attack the player just like a zombie.
What do creepers and leaves have in common? Well, according to Mojang, a lot, apparently. See, Notch said that he pictures creepers as being made of dry, crunchy leaves. And Dinnerbone furthered this by saying that the creepers explode because they rub together like a bunch of sticks and then spontaneously combust. And so I guess that makes MatPat's theory about them correct on this one.
You can only ride in a boat with a skeleton horse in Bedrock, which sounds ridiculous, but what's even more stupid...
Der ist, ich finde es so komisch, dass Java und Bedrock so dumme Unterschiede haben, wie zum Beispiel das.
There's the steps it takes to pull this off. To do this, you need to get a skeleton horse in a boat and then swim underneath it and right-click the boat to get in and pilot it. Because if you don't, you'll just ride the horse and can't move anywhere.
Ever wonder why you can only breed horses with a golden carrot or a golden apple? Well, this actually comes from Greek mythology. See, in the myth, there's this horse named Orion, which was a super steed that only ate precious materials, which would make a lot more sense to do economically if the Minecraft horses weren't so abysmally slow. Did you know that Minecraft pigs can fly? Though not like this, but rather...
Oh mein Gott, das habe ich mit Basti zockt in Craft Attack probiert und es hat actually funktioniert, aber die Leine ist 5-mal abgerissen und wir haben gefühlt 30 Schweine gekillt.
Like this. See, if one player sits on a saddle pig like so, and then the other one
geil,
grabs hold of the lead, they can launch off with an elytra and keep both the pig and your friend in tow. But if you do this, just make sure to land in some water, otherwise that pig is...
Das funktioniert leider nicht so gut, das wäre echt geil.
Gonna make a round trip.
What's the difference between a hoglin in 2020 and one today? Well, back in the snapshots for the Nether update, the hoglins had a glitch in their code in such a way that their legs and ears would flail about when moved or attacked.
Wie es
When you give
aussieht.
a mob the no AI tag, it doesn't move or follow the player. And
PPL.
that's true for all of them, except the Guardian. Yeah, apparently, since the Guardian's eye is coded as the head on the model, it'll still follow the player, even when it's supposed to have no
Das macht mir so Angst.
AI.
This is what the spider looked like back in Java Edition Classic. It had a brown
Oh mein Gott, es sieht einfach aus wie draufgeschissen.
texture with black beads for eyes, which is quite the difference from how it looks today. Plus, it gave them some natural camouflage for dirt blocks, so that would have made these even creepier to deal with.
Das sieht
During
echt ein bisschen
development,
komisch aus,
the
ne?
Evoker used to look pretty different, and we could see that from when Mojang did this Meet the Evoker article. The mob originally had a hat like so, but even though they removed
Warum haben die einen Hut, Digga?
this before release, it's interesting to note that it resembles the one that you see on the Illusioner mob. Though the Illusioner wasn't added officially either, so maybe Mojang just doesn't like hats.
Silverfish used to have as much health as the player, with 20 hit points to their name. And
Okay,
thankfully,
chipper.
after the beta 1.9 pre-release, this was fixed so they now only have 8 HP instead.
Even
Ach
though
so, was?
magma
Sie hatten
cubes are made
20
of, well,
Leben?
magma, they can swim in water just fine. And in fact, they're the only mob that you'll find in the Nether that can swim normally. What do this llama and this
Magma
boat have in
cubes?
common? Well, if a player rides on top, neither of them will sink, even if you're in water that's deeper than 2 blocks, which seems
Das wusste ich nicht. Hä, voll cool.
small, but the same can't be said for our horses or pigs, so it's definitely noticeable.
Ich find's schade, dass man Lama nicht steuern kann. Ja gut, wäre auch ein bisschen random, ne? Obwohl, eigentlich...
And that'll make it all the easier to bring your friends along on the caravan for the next time that you travel.
Drowned in Bedrock Edition looks significantly different to those in Java. But why is that? You'll notice the drowned mob in Bedrock has a 3D outer layer to its model, which gives it a bigger head and arms than it has in Java. Additionally, this causes its armor to render weirdly, especially with any helmets like so.
This feature showed up in Minecraft Story Mode 2 years before it did in the base game. See, this here's Winslow, the Calico Cat from the Telltale game. And while they seem like a minor character, this was actually the inspiration
Ich habe Minecraft Story Mode gespielt, aber an die Szene kann ich mich nicht mehr
when
erinnern.
the Calico Cats got added into Minecraft in Java 1.14. Except then, their patterns were flipped.
If you listen closely, this Ravager sound effect might be familiar. And the reason is that if you change the pitch on the Ravager's first and third death sounds, they turn out to be exactly the same as the Pillager's death sound.
Herz auf.
Did you know pigs could drop brown
Die haben einfach den gleichen Sound verwendet. Die hatten keinen Bock, einen neuen zu machen.
mushrooms? Sure enough, back in the Java Edition survival
Oh mein Gott, wie ist die Hand da?
test, there was a time where these mobs only dropped brown mushrooms on death. But obviously, this was changed to a pork chop when that item got added in. Oh,
Ja,
it makes
zum
me
Glück.
wonder, if you had a mushroom stew made out of pig shrooms, is that still vegetarian? I don't know. This is the most
Ich glaub
deadly
nicht.
pufferfish in Minecraft. And the reason for that is because if you change the NBT tag for a pufferfish's puff state data value, you can change its damage and poison times.
Das geht?
So if we use this data command like so, we can
Ja gut, aber mit
make
Comment.
one that's either completely harmless or a destroyer of worlds.
Minecraft
Einfach One-Hit von so einem Fisch. Wie dumm wäre das?
Pillagers used to look like this.
Boah, zum Glück sind es keine Piraten geworden,
They
ne?
were designed like a pirate, wearing an orange torn vest and an eye patch.
Das
But this
sieht so
picture is the
scheiße aus.
only existing evidence, since the mob designers decided that proper armor would look better instead.
Why do striders
ist
drop
auch so.
string? Well, the reason's piglins. See, to explain how these pigs get the string for their crossbows, Mojang developed the strider with this in mind. And I guess logically they get the item made from these bristles on
Das macht Sinn. Dass die. Ja, das macht
the
Sinn.
side, but they must have a lot over after killing them, since they still barter away their string anyway.
Have you ever seen a villager wearing a green hood? Well, if you have, you're probably using
ich?
programmer art. See, the reason this happens is because the texture for the nitwit before 1.14 has the same file name as the Village and Pillage update's base texture, proving that all the villagers, even those with jobs, are nitwits in their own way.
Hä, wie
What makes these baby polar
Digga, da sind so viele Sachen, die man gar nicht weiß, so.
bears special from
Aber
any
immer
other
sieht.
mob in the game? Well, if you listen close to its sound effect, you'll notice that it's not just a sped up version of the regular polar bear's cry, which is how it is for any other baby mob, but instead, the polar bear cub has a unique recording of its own.
Did you know that there's an
Er hat eigenes.
axolotl even rarer than the blue variant?
That's
See, back
falsch.
in the development of Snapshot 21W17A,
Okay,
there
ist
was the
richtig.
idea to add an axolotl with an
Oh mein Gott.
open mouth texture
Oh mein Gott, sieht das dumm aus.
like this, but it was never properly implemented,
Ja,
and
zum
by
Glück,
the following
Alter.
snapshot, it was removed. So if you see an axolotl with an open mouth, you've either got a glitch, or maybe it's just hungry. But even if it was starving,
Glück kam
why
das
does
nicht,
the
Alter.
axolotl eat this fish, but not this one?
Ja, guck mal,
well,
wie
the
das
answer's
aussah.
actually based on real life. According to Mojang's dev diaries, this is because real axolotls will only eat fish that are alive. So that's why they'll only follow you into battle if you have the bucket. They just want their sushi as raw as it comes.
Why do piglin brutes have 50
Stellt euch vor, bald kommt Sushi in Minecraft.
HP compared to the regular piglin's 16? Well, according to the lead artist Jasper,
Ja, weil es halt der Brute ist.
that's because their golden arm guard serves as protection, which is the first ever case of golden
Das macht
armor
Sinn.
actually being effective. Shulkers weren't supposed to be
Das stimmt.
purple. In fact, the original idea was that these mobs could camouflage into any
Oh nein. Das ist wie so ein Ditto. Boah, das wäre so scheiße.
nearby block. So a shulker
Also wie so ein Ditto. Boah, das wäre dumm.
on purple would look purple, while one on endstone would look like, well, endstone. But
Boah, das würde mich so abfucken, wenn es so wäre.
Jeb decided this was too difficult to code, so it never made it into the game.
Why is this villager
Glück.
riding a chicken? Well, if
Yeah.
the baby zombie on a chicken jockey
WTF.
happens to be a zombie villager, then when you cure it, it'll become a villager again, but won't leave the chickens back. Meaning if you cure this diamond
der auch
on the
dann
zombie
groß
villager
werden?
chicken jockey, you'll have the true rarest mob in Minecraft. But unfortunately, we can't take that ultra rare chicken jockey to the nether, since neither
warum
chicken
auch?
jockeys nor spider jockeys are able to go through portals.
Alright, pop quiz. What mob is this? I'll give you a hint, it's not a silverfish. Actually, it's just an endermite. See, when the
Oh mein Gott, ich wurde gebaitet.
endermite was added in, it was just a purple version of the silverfish, before it eventually got this new smaller model
Endermite ist auch so random, dieses Mob irgendwie, ne? Ich weiß auch nicht.
that we see
Ich finde
today.
es so
Under
random.
certain circumstances, an iron golem will attack a villager. Now, clearly, the villagers are a peaceful mob, but if they use their fireworks after a raid, that celebration might just damage a nearby golem. And if it
Oh.
does, the iron golem will get aggressive
Hä, machen die das echt? Oh mein Gott, stell dich mal vor, du feierst so, juhu, unser Dorf wurde verteidigt und dann haut dich der Eisengolem von nebenan um.
and even kill the villager that it's supposed to protect. And with that, folks, YouTube thinks that you might like this video. So see if they're
Chillig.
right and have a good one. All right?
Chillig. Ey, no joke, da waren viele Fakten dabei, die ich nicht wusste. Also no joke. Das ist ein gutes Video gewesen, es gibt ein Like.